You know we had to do it eventually. So let's talk again about the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, I'm on record saying that I don't think the Russell Westbrook trade was the best move for LA in terms of just getting someone who will fit their system and someone who will give them what they need to do. Just offensively. It's usually spacing, three-point shooting, that kind of stuff. And let LeBron stay as the on-ball playmaker. But they've added so many pieces. I feel like we need to talk about the Lakers again, just because of how they're old, but they're still very accomplished, and this is still a very deep team. I think we'll work together better actually than last year's squad did. So just to recap the Russell Westbrook trade with Washington sent Westbrook a 2024 second-round pick and a 2028 second-round pick to LA for Kyle Kuzma, KCP, and Montrezl Harrell, and the 22nd pick in this year's draft. Now, to get rid of Kuzma, who hasn't really developed much, he's actually arguably gotten worse over time during his short stay at the Lakers. KCP, who's very hot and cold, but got a big contract with LA because, he's friends with LeBron, essentially. And Montrezl Harrell, who I think is still a really good player, just not good for the Lakers because he's an undersized center. He's not going to get you a lot defensively in terms of rim protection, and he doesn't shoot from the outside. Now, could he be really good for some teams? Yes, I think he was really good with the Clippers. I think he fit what they needed at the time. He's just not going to be able to do that for the Lakers, or maybe even for a team like Philadelphia. He won't fit those kind of squads. So that's the Russell Westbrook trade. You also bring Carmelo Anthony, Trevor Ariza, Wayne Ellington, and Kent Bazemore on one-year deals. So a lot of veterans come in here, and if it doesn't work, just pull it all up next year. You don't even have to cut anyone. They're just done. Just one-year deals, and they're over and gone with. And you don't have to worry about hurting any feelings in the sense in the long term because you had these guys come in one year and then go out the next. So if you win a ring, great. If you don't, you need to adjust some things. Oh, well, you're perfectly fine. You're still set up to have cap space to do that. Malik Monk is coming in. Malik Monk's a guy who doesn't really have a great reputation up to this point in the NBA. Never really developed into the point where the Charlotte Hornets were happy with him. But I think at the same time, you have to look and say, well, this guy can score. He can do a little bit of everything. You've had players who are capable of coming out there and just shooting well, and that's all they really need to do is shoot. He made over 40% of his three-pointers last year. Granted, that was a huge spike from what he'd done previously in the NBA, so I don't really know if you can count on that this season. But if he just comes out and shoots 35% from three and shoots 5 threes a game, that's going to be disappointing, yes, but it's going to fill a need because there's going to be other guys in this team who shoot worse from three. So having a guy like Malik Monk can give you 20 minutes a night, probably somewhere in the 12 to 20 range here on this Lakers team, and shoot maybe 37%, somewhere in that range, somewhere between 35 and 40%, they'll take that. And if he does better than that, good for him. He's going to be able to cash in and get a lot more money next time he hits free agency. Other guys I want to talk about. Kendrick Nunn, 2 years, $10 million, took less money than what he was offered apparently from the New York Knicks to sign with the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, he obviously lost to the Lakers as a member of the Miami Heat, not this past season, but the year before that in the finals. Now he comes to LA going on after a ring. I feel bad for Kendrick Nunn because he had a bit of a collapse in that playoff run. I really liked him with Miami. I am a Miami Heat fan, so I can say I like Kendrick Nunn quite a bit. He's obviously overachieved for a guy who was an undrafted free agent. Averaged 15.3 points per game as a rookie and 14.6 this past year. Huge jump in three-point shooting, by the way. He made 38.1% of his threes last season, so you have to count on him being somewhat able to score from the outside. My issue is, where do you play him? Because he's 6'2". He's small. I don't think he's a true point guard. He's listed as a point guard. I don't think that's where he truly belongs. I think he's really more of a shooting guard. The issue, again, is he's 6'2". He doesn't necessarily facilitate at a high level, so it's kind of a bit of a tweener player in terms of the skill set at one position, but not the body necessarily to pull it off. So Kendrick Nunn, a player I like, I just don't know where he fits, but I think the Lakers will have plenty of roles for him to fill during his time with the team. I think you can even he could even finish just run the second unit, and I think that would be a good fit for him. So 2 years, $10 million for Kendrick Nunn. And Talen Horton-Tucker, who's a restricted free agent for them, one of the few young players in this team, along with guys like Kendrick Nunn, who is still 26. He's 26, but that's still relative to everyone else on this team. 26 is a pretty young guy. Horton-Tucker, THT, is 20 years old. So you have to feel pretty good about his age, maybe having one guy to develop for the future. Not a good three-point shooter right now. That's the biggest concern. But he's got a lot of little elements to his game. He gave him 20.1 minutes per game last season. So they obviously have faith in this guy to be able to continue to develop. And again, only 20 years old. So is he going to be a future star? Probably not. But you know what? Keep him around because he's already a decent contributor. And maybe if you're bad and you need someone to contribute more immediately, you trade him around the deadline, potentially. But for now, Still a young guy. They seem to really enjoy having on the team. So let's talk about some of these guys right now. Let's break it down a little bit. What does Dwight Howard bring back to LA now? He's back for a third stint after that weird 1 year in Philadelphia. I don't know why they even bothered doing that, why he bothered leaving, but he did. So now he's back. And the center position to me is going to be the absolute weakness for the Lakers. It's Marcus Gasol and Dwight Howard right now. Now, I really like Dwight Howard. I love what Dwight Howard's done here with this second chapter of his career, or third chapter of his career. He's still only a guy who should be getting maybe 18 to 19 minutes per night at most. And that's when he's most effective. Last year with Philadelphia, in just 17.3 minutes per game, he averaged 8.4 rebounds and 0.9 blocks per game. And to tell you what that comes out to in per 36 stats, that's 17.5 rebounds per 36 minutes, along with 1.9 blocks and 14.5 points. So if he can just put him out there to be the rebound guy, he'll get those putbacks and basically do some low rim protection, the stuff he did during the championship run. That's fine. I keep saying that over and over again. Having JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard, and yes, JaVale McGee was a part of it as well. Having those two guys was crucial for the Lakers winning a championship. When they did it, losing both those guys last year just totally ripped it apart. Because Marcus Gasol and Andre Drummond were nowhere near as good as those two together. My concern now is Marcus Gasol is still on the team, and he's not going to be able to give you that versatile defensive presence that he was 5 or 6 years ago. He's just not that player anymore. He's slower. He's heavier. He's not going to be able to elevate whatsoever. I still think you need another guy, another center on this roster, because right now it's just not good enough to me. Unless, of course, Anthony Davis puts in minutes at the center spot, which he doesn't want to do, but might not have a choice in this scenario. So center, to me, is going to still be the weakness for his team. Point guard, Russell Westbrook and Kendrick Nunn for now. I guess LeBron would probably move back to small forward. The best lineup the Lakers could put on the floor, in my opinion, if we're just focusing purely on talent, would be Russell Westbrook at the 1, Kendrick Nunn at the 2, LeBron at the 3, AD at the 4, and Dwight Howard at the 5. Just purely on talent, that would be the best lineup I think they can put out on the floor. Now, there's some issues with that. Again, Kendrick Nunn, smaller player, probably don't want to play him as a true shooting guard. Probably wanted to play him as a point guard somewhere in this rotation. I don't know how many minutes they promised him, or if they promised him any minutes, but I think it might be a bit of a issue for them later in the season. I can see players getting disgruntled over that. The point guard position, again, I think LeBron's probably done with that for now. Maybe move back to the small forward because Russell Westbrook kind of has to play that role. LeBron can play any spot 1 through 4. And Russell Westbrook just does not have that ability. He has to be passing. He has to be on ball because otherwise he doesn't have any value as a true shooter from the outside. Shooting guard, I expect it to be a bit of a rotational mix here between Kendrick Nunn, Wayne Ellington, Malik. Those 3 guys are going to be their main shooting guards. I think it's just going to be whoever has the hot hand in the moment is probably going to be the guy that gets the most minutes. I think it's really going to be just up for grabs for those players. Maybe THC gets some minutes at that spot as well. I'm not quite sure what role they envision for him on this roster. It has a bunch of guys who are kind of all clustered in the forward to guard range, all kind of wings in that area. We'll see how it all plays out. Small forward, I think this is where LeBron starts. I think it's probably where Trevor Ariza and Carmelo Anthony will get minutes. I think Carmelo Anthony obviously has spent power forward recently, being more of a stretch forward. He doesn't offer much defensively at all. He's done well, especially look at Portland the past 2 years. He hit 40.9% of his threes this past season, 38.5% the year before that. So developing into a guy who can certainly just spot up and hit threes or take that one dribble, pull up 3-point shot. You have to feel really good about having him on the roster. Again, the chemistry has LeBron as well. We'll see how that plays out. But Carmelo Anthony is certainly a great addition to this roster, I think. I don't know if he'll start. I anticipate him coming off the bench, just like he did in Portland this past year. And we'll just see. I think 3 or 4 is where you're going to see him. There's no reason to play him anywhere else unless you ask to play shooting guard, which I suppose you could do. I mean, there's no reason you can't, but we'll see how that plays out. And Trevor Ariza, again, is also on the roster. Ariza, just watching him in Miami not too long ago, he's the kind of guy who's just, he can give you some stuff on defense, but he's old, man. He's very old, and you can tell he's going to be a negative on offense. You're not going to get a lot of points out of him. You're going to probably be in the negatives in the box plus minus when he's out there for you on offense, just because he's not going to give you much, Same way Alex Caruso might not, except Alex Caruso is younger and is very good defensively, while Trevor Ariza is kind of aging past that point in his career. We can play that at a high level. Who else do we want to talk about? Kent Bazemore. Let's talk about Kent Bazemore. I think THT, I don't know why I keep saying THC. What is THC? Is that a drug? Is that something like that? Is that why I keep hearing it? Oh, it is. High school health class, kids. You might actually remember something. Yeah, THT is probably going to see minutes at shooting guard and small forward, sometimes mixed up in there. Just, the air position of basketball, it's just kind of how it is. So I think we'll see him in both of those roles. Kent Bazemore, on the other hand, I believe we'll see mainly as a shooting guard, small forward, because he does have the ability to shoot well from three. He hit over 40% of his threes last year. My main issue is for him is that he's not consistent. I mean, his career three-point shooting is up and down, like left and right. It's just crazy. Like the past 2 years before this great season for him, he shot below 35%. But then back in 2017, he shot 39%, all from three. So it's kind of like, which player are you getting here with Kent Bazemore? He's another guy who I think will get minutes based on whether or not he's playing well. There's players in the league that will just get minutes regardless. I don't believe Ben Bazemore is going to be one of those guys. He'll probably split time with THT, THT, Malik Monk, Wayne Ellington, Kent Bazemore are all kind of the same bucket for me. Maybe Ariza is as well. I can't really tell. I think he'd be more of a power forward / small forward guy. I think he'll be more in that role, while Bazemore is more of the shooting guard / small forward. Any more additions I really want to talk about? Not really, not that I can see. I think we covered a little bit of everything. So again, the best lineup that I think they can put in the court: Russell Westbrook at the 1, Kendrick Nunn at the 2, LeBron at the 3, AD at the 4, Dwayne at the 5. Of course, I think that 2 spot is really where you can mix it up. If you want that 2 to be Wayne Ellington, you can do that. If you want that 2 to be Carmelo Anthony, you can do that. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there to really experiment with that shooting guard rule. And again, just right at the hot hand. Just go with the guy who's playing well at that given point in time, because there's no reason to do anything else. And Wayne Ellington, by the way, shot 42.2% from 3 this past year. So you got a guy who's another really good shooter, who's been a shooter throughout his entire career. So having someone like that on the roster just gives the Lakers exactly what they need. And granted, he had a bad year before. He shot 35% the year before that. So you're not really sure which player you're getting here from Wayne Ellington either. There's a lot of up and down guys, a lot of streaky players on this Lakers roster, which could be problematic. But if you get all of them hot at the same time, there's a reason why the Lakers are favorites right now to go win the title. Thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you all back for another NBA breakdown video. I don't know what team we're going to do this time. Maybe I already kind of talked about the 76ers. Maybe I'll do them again. People just seem to like those videos. People either love or hate the 76ers. There's no in between. I suppose we're at the same point for the Lakers. But for now, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys all later.